Professor Montagnier. Thank you for coming by.
Mr. President, I am delighted to be here.
Professor, I thought you were French. Why do you have a British accent?
I apologize. The creators of this clip did not have a French accent on file, so they decided to use this British accent instead. From an American perspective, that is almost the same, isn't it? But please do not tell Her Majesty the Queen or the French President Sarkozy. I am certain they would be offended.
Of course. You can count on my discretion. Professor, I just spoke to Robert Gallo.
Robert?
Yes, let's forget about the unpleasant lawsuit and dingle inquiry for a moment, shall we? Robert knows what he did was wrong. He should have never mixed up urine in his lab samples. Professor, the problem is I cannot find the HIV anywhere.
Well, you know we actually never purified the virus.
What?
I said that a couple of times in the past. Why are you surprised?
Well, Robert keeps telling me different. Did he not publish some electron microscope pictures of the virus in Science magazine in 1984?
Yes and no. Those pictures may or may not be HIV.
Excuse me?
Well, the journalist Janine Roberts also discovered that Robert Gallo changed the original lab report so that he can claim discovery of HIV from my lab sample. My team and I also said a number of times that HIV may not be needed to develop AIDS. We called it the cofactor theory.
I don't understand. You just said that HIV may or may not exist. Now you are saying if it does, it may not cause AIDS at all? Isn't that a little vague?
Is it? I never noticed. Well, let me be clear, sometimes HIV causes AIDS. That is mostly the case when I have to talk to people like Robert Gallo. But when I speak with filmmakers such as Brent Leune, then HIV can be totally cured just by eating good, and preferably, French cuisine. Even clean water and healthy living conditions would help a great deal, especially in developing countries. But when I put forward funding proposals, then HIV of course does exist. I am certain Robert and his team do the same to get money from your CDC director Anthony Fauci. How else can we make a living in the world of virology? But on occasions after too much wine, I admit that we never isolated HIV.
Professor Montagnier, I do not understand. You are confusing me. What is the cause of AIDS then? Does HIV cause AIDS or not?
As I explained, yes and no. Did you speak to Peter Duisberg? Maybe he knows where the virus is.
Peter does not know that either. But at least he is very clear about his science. And says HIV is just a harmless passenger virus, and that AIDS, drugs and lifestyle cause AIDS. Actually, his arguments are quite compelling.
Well, some say Peter is crazy. But with good French food and clean water you can get rid of HIV in a few weeks. That is a hot subject. I told Brent that in his documentary House of Numbers. So Peter is not too far off there, nor do I think he is crazy.
So, HIV does not cause AIDS?
Of course it does. HIV exists and it causes AIDS.
But you just said that.
HIV is harmless and that HIV can be cured with clean water and good food. Yes, that is also true. Did I also tell you that I'm seeing a psychiatrist? Because I can't ever make up my mind and want to please everyone, especially virologists. What would they do if HIV did not exist?